Is Fox News feeling the heat from the competition? Joe Biden's supposed victory defies logic on many levels. Plus, conservatives get a victory for religious freedom from the Supreme Court. All that and more. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour.
God bless the United States of America.
All right, friends, welcome to the show. Happy Monday. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving weekend. If you're new to the show, thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to start with Fox News and the competition. Should they be worried? After all, Fox News has had competitors. Newsmax, One America News, those have been around longer than you think. One America News started in 2013. Newsmax TV debuted a year later in 2014. Fox is never worried about it. But then we've seen this drift to the left, and we saw what happened during this 2020 election. Their coverage, their statements, their actions has driven viewers away, and the others have risen up. Now, Fox News has seemed to be taking notice and trying to do something about it. And here's the story. Fox News is taking action to stave off newfound competition from Newsmax TV. Producers on some Fox programs have been told to monitor Newsmax guest bookings and throw some sand in Newsmax's gears by encouraging guests who appear on both channels to stop saying yes to the upstart. According to Fox sources, producers were told to avoid some regular guests if they kept showing up on Newsmax after being encouraged to stop. Management's goal? To remind guests who's boss in the right-wing media world. Wow, trying to muscle guests so they don't appear on Newsmax. Well, I sent that story over to Grant Stinchfield, who hosts the Stinchfield program in primetime on Newsmax, and here's what he said.
So, Bobby, I saw this article that you sent me about Fox News telling guests they shouldn't go on Newsmax anymore. Give me a break. This is all proof that they're faking it. The one thing about us, at least my show and most of us at Newsmax, I don't care what the competition is doing. The bottom line is we're putting the best show on we possibly can. We do it the way we think it needs to be done, and we believe in what we're doing.
Well, I love that last part. They believe in what they're doing. And here's the thing. Anyone that's watched Fox for so long believed that about Fox News, that they believed in what they're doing. But they certainly have lost their way. We saw the drift and we saw the total slide in this election, and there's no doubt that they're feeling the heat. And here's more. Earlier this year, while working on a book about Fox News and Trump, CNN's Brian Stelter spoke with some of the same staffers, and when Newsmax and other wannabe rival One America News were brought up, they usually scoffed or cracked a joke. The channels were dismissed like the fleas on an elephant's back. But the Fox News staffers aren't joking anymore. They are paying close attention to the daily rating spreadsheets that show Newsmax performance alongside Fox News, Fox Business, and other channels. On Monday evening, for example, Newsmax's Greg Kelly averaged 188,000 viewers between the ages of 25 and 54, while Fox News' The Story averaged 288,000 viewers in that demographic at that hour. Before the election, Kelly was garnering about 30,000 viewers in the demo, while Fox News was getting more than 500,000. So we've seen this coming, folks. We saw Chris Wallace's performance in the debate. Absolutely pathetic, unprofessional. We saw the calling of Arizona. We've seen these weird staffing moves that Fox News has made, bringing in leftists. It doesn't make any sense for the conservative audience that Fox News cherished for so long. And then recently, what I covered, Eric Shawn's pathetic interview with the Dominion Systems representative, Michael Steele. It was just like a PR move, an infomercial for Dominion voting systems. And here's more from Grant Stinchfield, who sums this all up.
I think all of this is just proof that Fox News has been faking it all along. They're so concerned about us. They ought to be concerned about what they're doing, because right now they are doing it wrong, and they've turned their backs on everybody who got them to where they are. That's why, like I said before, all we're doing is the truth over at Newsmax. They ought to try it.
So, will the exodus continue? Will One America News and Newsmax continue to grow? We'll have to wait and see, but I certainly hope they do. So next, let's talk about some voting irregularities, some anomalies with Joe Biden. But first, If you're new to the show or haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. And when you do, please hit that bell so you'll be notified. We're making our push for 150,000 subscribers, and we can do it with your help. All right, so let's go over Joe Biden and the votes he got, where he got them, when he got them, and a lot of anomalies that just show you, without even taking cases to court, without diving into observers not being able to observe, and all these legal challenges that I think will put President Trump, keep him in the White House. There were just statistical anomalies, voting trends that weren't followed that just defy logic, folks. And I want to go over some of them for those that think that Joe Biden had some kind of historic victory. First, there's the supposed 80 million votes that Joe Biden received. Trump gained 10 million more votes in 2020 than he saw in 2016 election victory, but that pales in comparison to Biden's record gains in defeating the first incumbent president in nearly a century and a half who has gained votes in a re-election campaign. Candidate Joe Biden was so effective at animating voters in 2020 that he received a record number of votes, more than 15 million more than Barack Obama received in his re-election of 2012. J.B. Shirk wrote in The Federalist. He was being sarcastic a little bit there, but just look at the numbers. Again, this is the first time in 150 years that the incumbent president received more votes, a show of approval, and lost. And the person he lost to, Joe Biden, someone that no one was enthusiastic about. The enthusiasm gap always favored immensely President Trump, yet Joe Biden is the winner and beats Barack Obama, another person whose supporters were very enthusiastic, beats him by 15 million votes. Doesn't make any sense at all. Then there's these bellwether counties, counties who for 40, 50, even more years have been almost unstoppable, unwavering in picking the winner. The way the counties go, these counties, the way the presidency goes. That's how it's been for decades until this year. Here's more. Biden might be the first U.S. president in 60 years to lose the bellwether states of Ohio and Florida. Remarkably, Shirk noted, despite national polling giving Biden a lead in both states, he lost Ohio by 8 points and Florida by more than 3. Even more unbelievably, Biden is on his way to winning the White House after having lost almost every historic bellwether county across the country, Shirk wrote. The Wall Street Journal and the Epoch Times independently analyzed the results of 19 counties around the United States that have nearly perfect presidential voting records over the last 40 years. President Trump won every single bellwether county except Clallam County in Washington. So, President has the enthusiasm, just like Barack Obama. Barack Obama won, but President Trump lost. No one's enthusiastic about Joe Biden. All the bellwether counties that always predict the president, Trump won 18 of 19 and lost to Biden? Doesn't make sense. Well, what about performance in the big cities? Here's that. Polling guru Richard Barrett of Big Data Poll marveled at how Biden underperformed Hillary Clinton in every major metro area around the country, save for Milwaukee, Detroit, Atlanta, and Philadelphia. Coincidentally, those are major cities and key battleground states the Trump campaign has questioned and sought to contest with legal challenges of voter fraud: Wisconsin, Michigan, Georgia, and Pennsylvania. The Electoral College votes in those states are ultimately deciding this election. So, you see a pattern here? Biden didn't have enthusiasm. It played out in the major cities. We're talking LA, Chicago, New York, Portland, Seattle, on and on and on. Biden underperformed Hillary Clinton, which is kind of what you'd expect from a guy that had no enthusiasm, didn't campaign, never went out. That seems logical. That seems how it should be. Yet, in 4 cities, Milwaukee, Detroit, Philadelphia, and Atlanta, where all this controversy is, he all of a sudden overperformed there in a huge way, as if inner city groups there were enthusiastic, but inner city groups around the rest of the country weren't. None of it makes sense at all. And what about the so-called blue wave that never materialized? There were 27 House toss-ups, the pollster noted, but Republicans not only won them, they appear to have swept them all, a shocked Shirk projected. Democrats failed to flip a single state House chamber, while Republicans flipped both the House and Senate in New Hampshire and expanded their dominance of state legislatures across the country, he added. Amazingly, Biden beat the guy who lifted all other Republicans to victory. Now that's historic. So tell me how that can happen. President Trump had historic coattails, folks. I saw the enthusiasm. One thing I didn't even cover with overlays is the support President had in the primary. People were going out to vote for the president. He brought in 18 million primary votes. That's more than double the next closest guy running for re-election in history. That's how excited people were about President Trump. That excitement translated to Republican victories across the board, and somehow Joe Biden smokes him in the vote tally? It makes no sense. All right, so next, over this Thanksgiving weekend, in case you missed it, since our last show was Wednesday, we got some great news from the Supreme Court. They put out a ruling in favor of religious freedom and the Constitution and against New York Governor Andrew Cuomo's rules on shutdowns for religious services. And here's the story. The U.S. Supreme Court blocked New York Governor Andrew Cuomo from reimposing strict attendance caps at worship services in areas hit hard by the novel coronavirus. The court ruled 5-4 to bar Cuomo from enforcing his October 6th cluster initiative against houses of worship that sued to challenge the restrictions. So, this was a vote to uphold the Constitution and support religious freedom. And it came down 5-4. Guess who was the 5 and guess who was the 4? On the 5 side, you've got Thomas, Alito, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, Amy Coney Barrett. On the 4 side, you've got the liberals and you've got John Roberts. Imagine that. We have right here, perfect example why we needed Barrett on the court. That 5-4 would have been 5-4 against, with Ginsburg and Roberts joining the left. Here's part of his opinion. Numerical capacity limits of 10 and 25 people, depending on the applicable zone, do seem unduly restrictive, Roberts wrote, according to the Times. It is not necessary, however, for us to rule on that serious and difficult question at this time. The governor might reinstate the restrictions, he continued, but he also might not. And it is a significant matter to override determinations made by public health officials concerning what is necessary for public safety in the midst of a deadly pandemic. It's significant to override? No, it's not. It's easy. In fact, it's no different than any other law you take up or ruling. Is it constitutional or not? Is this law, is this executive action constitutional or not? That's it. That's all you have to do. He's playing politics again, as he did with healthcare, as he did with the LGBTQ ruling, on and on and on. He sides with politics over just following the Constitution. Neil Gorsuch, part of the 5, he wrote this in his opinion. It is time, past time, to make plain that while the pandemic poses many grave challenges, there is no world in which the Constitution tolerates color-coded executive edicts that reopen liquor stores and bike shops, but shutter churches, synagogues, and mosques, wrote Gorsuch, who was also named to the court by Trump. Awesome, just awesome. You need to read his opinion. He takes other shots at John Roberts, and it's just awesome right there. Follow the Constitution. That's their job. So finally, I want to give you an update on the other thing that went down since we left for the holidays. And that is, on Wednesday evening, Sidney Powell filed cases in both Georgia and Michigan. And when you read those lawsuits, they are incredible, folks. There are so many witnesses, both on the expert side, both on the observer side, Republican officials, on and on and on, talking about the voter fraud. Every way possible, there was the fraud. She brought in experts showing, claiming that they'll put this in front of the judge, 290,000 votes illegally counted by Dominion Systems in Michigan, 96,000 in Georgia. The whole thing is just full of fraud. These cases were presented Wednesday evening, and they will push forward. And I think they have a great chance because we have to show, and basically what they're trying to do is show that you cannot certify this election for this certain slate of electors because there's no confidence in the election. It was so fraudulent, it's impossible to count now the legal versus illegal ballots, so you can't make a judgment. You can't certify these electors. I think they're actually trying to push for President Trump's electors to be the ones certified, but there's no confidence in this election. With so much fraud, with so much violations, with so much criminal activity, there is no way these states should certify. And I'm talking Michigan, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Nevada, all these contested states. We see things in Arizona as well. Lawsuits are coming all over the place, pushing these grounds, folks. There were illegalities in the way votes were counted, no observers, and very strange statistical irregularities with the machines. I'll get into more of that on the next show, but it is just wild. There's a lot to come. All right, folks, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe, and when you do, please hit that bell so you'll be notified, and we'll see you next time. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour. Okay, friends, thanks so much for watching. And before you go, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you'll be notified. And here's a special video just for you so you can watch even more of the 13-minute news hour. And don't forget to check out GOPUSA.com for the best in conservative news and commentary. We'll see you next time.